Indie genre. My chosen genre is indie rock slash alternative. I decided to choose this genre because it is one I listen to daily and love. History of indie genre. It originated in the United States and the UK in the 1970s and 80s and is an extremely diverse genre that has subgenres like indie pop and indie rock. It came to describe and identify the acts that had an outside and underground perspective. In the 2000s, as technology was changing and the music industry was growing and becoming more popular, many indie rock acts began to enjoy the commercial success. Timeline of indie genre. In the 1970s, it was said that the first ever sign of indie rock was formed as early as the 1977, and the term indie comes from the word independent, which is what many of the bands are doing. An EP called Spiral Scratch by Buzzcocks was the first ever piece of indie music as it was a self-publication. In the 1980s, it became more and more popular and more artists started naming themselves indie acts. Bands like REM and The Smiths broke onto the music scene. In the 1990s, there was a change in the indie music. Some major bands like Pulp, Primal Scream and Stone Roses were emerging. The 1990s was also the era for Britpop. In 1995, it turned into a battle between Britpop when Oasis and Blur released singles on the same day. In the 2000s and nowadays, indie music has become very popular. A number of bands became very popular in the 2000s. These were The Strokes, The White Stripes. Eventually, more and more indie artists started to emerge from the UK. There was The Libertines, Franz Ferdinand, Block Party, Editors, The Fratellis, Placebo, Razorlight, Kaiser Chiefs and The Cooks.